8th of June, there has been the info day organized by Hadea, and already all the reports are available. So if you would like, of course, to have from Hadea, you can check that as well. So if you agree, I can. Thank you very much, and please.
Okay, so good morning to everyone. I'm very happy to be here and see you again, the ones that I already know, and also to know new people. So I'm going to share the screen. Okay, so can you see my presentation?
Yes, perfect, Sarah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So here, as Sandita told before, we are going to have a quick overview of the new EU4Health open calls. I kindly recommend you to visit the link of Hadea, where you can find all the information. You can see the presentation dedicated for each call, and also the slides. So you will have, you can go indeed in all details of the call. Here I have put here the screenshot of the European Funding Tenders portal. What I suggest is to go to directly to the European Funding Tenders portal and filter with the EU4Health keyword, so you can find all the open calls. At the moment, we have 12 open calls, so I will go quickly because there are a lot of calls, but just to give you the most important inputs about each one. And also here you can find the link over there. You can find the open calls also in their website, and the total budget is 9,960,000. Sorry, 19,960 million for these 12 topics that now we are going to see. First of all, what I would suggest is to, when you take a call, I would suggest to you as a national focal point, but also that you can give this advice to the beneficiaries of the call or the applicants, to check immediately which kind of applicants are required for each course, because they can change. So mainly you can have scientific societies, academia, health authorities, institutions, NGOs, and in some calls also SME can participate. So please check always that part, and check also the specific eligibility and selection criteria for the consortium related to the number of applicants and number of countries. In general, we can say that the required amount is at least 3 applicants and a minimum 3 countries. But as we will see in next calls, this can change, and there are also sometimes some calls where a sole applicant can participate. So please check always that part. Okay, so the first call that we are going to see is the call for proposal to support access to medical devices for cross-border health treats. Which is managed.
I will kindly ask to keep the microphone off, please. Otherwise, it is really disturbing for the speaker. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So it's managed by ERA, the Health Emergency Preparedness and Response Authority. What you will find in the following slides. I have put the first slides with the main objectives of the call, and the second slides with the main activities. So you can just understand immediately what the call is addressing, and if it's the call that applicants are looking for. For sure, if you respect the objectives and activities, then I would suggest to go and analyze all the requirements and eligibility check as said before. So this action supports the policy priority to increase patients' access to medical countermeasures, so medical products and medical devices. The consortia should provide a platform of which include experienced regulatory, business planning, and device development services to help foster and guide the advancement of devices. And we can see also that there is a part related with the market and business development aspects. In fact, the consortia should facilitate the development, production, and distribution of devices. Providing services, advice on intellectual property rights, prototyping, engineering, lab testing, and grant writing, clinical investigation design. So which kind of activities can we address with this call? We can promote capacity building and knowledge sharing, establish connections between individuals and other entities, mentoring projects through the development process, assess the scientific, engineering, preclinical, and clinical innovation potential of medical devices, support funding investment sources, and assess marketing opportunity, and provide business, legal, and regulatory support. The second call is a call for proposal to support the stakeholders. Sorry, I hear a little bit of noise. Okay, sorry. Call for proposal to support stakeholders on the prevention of non-communicable diseases in the area of chronic respiratory disease. The main objective of this call is to reduce the burden of chronic respiratory disease in the European Union, targeting or addressing the related risk factors and determinants. Which kind of activities can we develop? We can implement public health policies, develop and transfer best practices, develop public health guidelines, prepare and roll out innovative approaches, support patient pathways, and support member states. The third one, call for proposals on the prevention of non-communicable diseases in the area of mental health, including actions supporting vulnerable population groups such as migrants, refugees, Roma people, and displaced people from Ukraine. The main objective of this call is to promote mental health, reduce burden of mental health problems in the Union, targeting or addressing related risk factors and determinants. Here we can see a point of the consortium that we have to respect. In fact, we have minimum 3 entities from 3 different eligible countries, but at least one should be an NGO and 1 patient organization working in area of mental health. Which kind of activities can we develop? We can implement public health policies related to mental health, develop and transfer best practices, develop public health guidelines, prepare and roll out innovative approaches, support patient pathways, and targeted projects to support vulnerable people. The call for proposal on prevention of non-communicable diseases in the area of dementia and other neurological disorders has the main aim to reduce the burden of dementia and other neurological disorders in European Union, targeting or addressing related risk factors and determinants. The activities, always we can implement public health policies, transfer best practices, development of public health guidelines, roll out innovative approaches, support patient pathways, and prevention or care of dementia and neurological disorders. As you can see, activities are quite the same. I mean, the activities allowed and suggested are quite the same, but for sure what is changing is the target, the main objective that we are targeting. The call for proposal to support the implementation of the strategic agenda for medical ionizing radiation application, organization of clinical audit campaigns as a tool to improve quality and safety of medical applications of ionizing radiation. What are the main objectives here? Here we have to develop pilot clinical audit campaigns in member states in diagnostic, interventional radiology, radiotherapy, and nuclear medicine. The campaign should be coordinated with the health authorities and also considering the specificities of national health systems, so also local and regional authorities. Campaign should seek to improve justification of radiological imaging and the implementation of optimization principle, and we should scale up pilot outcomes in member states. Activities that can be funded are activities like networking, communication, coordination, planning, recruiting, training, auditing, reporting, dissemination activities. And activities also include identification of documents such as clinical audit guidelines, audit templates, standards for good medical practice, elaboration of new documents, and development or use of web-based tools. Then we have the call for proposal, action grants on mental health challenges for cancer patients and survivors. Here we have two subtopics. Subtopic A is targeting mental health and cancer, in particular addressing mental health challenges in cancer patients and survivors and their carers and families. We have a consortium with the minimum 3 entities from 3 eligible countries. And we have at least one NGO and one patient organization working field of cancer or mental health that should be included. The activities that we can develop are systematic screening of mental health status of cancer patients, carers, and families, develop methodologies to support identification of patients and carers and families, provide psychological and psychosocial support and interventions, develop guidance and recommendation for professionals, provide professional psychosocial support. This subtopic B is targeting European Code for Mental Health, also addressing mental health challenges in cancer patients and survivors, carers and families. Here we have a minimum 5 entities from 5 different eligible countries, plus at least one NGO working in the field of mental health, one patient organization working in the field of mental health, and one public authority responsible for mental health. So we see that the requirements of consortium are stricter here. And the activities that we can do are the development of a European Code for Mental Health, messages that are evidence-based, easy to understand and easy to implement for citizens, how citizens can take care of their own mental health and families and reduce risk. Then we have the call for proposal, action grants on the safety and quality of new substances of human origin. We have focus A with the breast milk and focus B with fecal microbiome transplants. So the main aim of these two calls is to facilitate the implementation of new substances of human origin, guidelines, legislative requirements, and compliance in order to allow the safe, effective, and quality preparation and use of these substances. Which kind of activities can we do? We can build an expert forum of actors in breast milk and stool banking, develop common set of draft guidelines based on expertise and existing initiatives, future updating of guidelines, implementation plan, training and dissemination, and taking account of commonalities and specificities of VM and FMT with other. Then we have the call for proposal, action grants on facilitating organ paired exchange. This call is implementing one of the main EU4Health program general objective, which is improving the availability, accessibility, and affordability of medical products and medical devices. In particular, this action will apply the common algorithm for matching donor-patient pairs among the participants and develop the applications. Which kind of activities can we develop? We can develop modalities for participating to the exchange schemes, feeding the algorithm with harmonized pair data via common IT platform, develop common support protocols among participants, roll out a common approach across national competent authorities. Then we have the call for proposal for a program on orphan medical devices, in particular targeting pediatric patients. The main aim is to support non-profit organizations or consortia that provide a platform for academic bodies, scientific societies, developers of devices, in particular SMEs and NGOs, with an interest in innovative pediatric devices to help foster and guide the development of orphan devices. This call takes inspiration from the Pediatric Device Consortia Grants Program of the US Food and Drugs Administration. And the activities that can be developed are related also with the business and market aspects, such as intellectual property advising, prototyping, engineering, lab testing, grant writing, and clinical investigations. In particular, the activities that will be developed should encourage innovation and connect relevant players, mentor and managing orphan device projects, connect the developers of innovative devices and physicians, assess scientific and medical merit, provide assistance and advice in the business development, market analysis, post-marketing needs, and so on, and provide the regulatory consultation. The final one is the call for proposal action grants to contribute to the organizations of conference and events. These calls support the organization of not-for-profit EU-wide high-level event. And this kind of events should promote and contribute to the development and implementation of European Health Union topic. When we develop the activities, we should include at least one of the following ones: effective mobilization of a broad audience with the participation of different kind of stakeholders, in particular policymakers, provide a platform to explain the EU health initiatives, sustainable outreach activities, which should be sustainable and carried out also after the end of the project, facilitate high-level policy dialogues, and use of innovative approaches in running the event will be a plus. Okay, so this part, I have finished this part. Are there any questions?
Yes, Sara, there is one question.
Yes.
With regard to the SOHO call, okay.
Yes.
Could this support the implementation of milk bank in a hospital if this is an eligible activity?
I think yes, but I would suggest to have a look specifically to the whole description of the call, in particular to see if there are some kind of exclusion. Okay, so I would suggest to download the work program and read carefully all the details of the call.
Thank you. Indeed, it's very specific, actually.
And
topic.
also, sorry, Sandita, you can go, if you go to the link that Sandita.
Yeah, no, sorry, we lost your connection.
Sorry.
Could you kindly repeat? Okay.
Yes. Now that I would suggest to go to the webinar organized also by ADEA, where there are a specific intervention for each call. So you can see what Adea and DG Sante said about this particular call, and also see the presentation. So this is what I would suggest to do.
Yeah, I will try to look for the link where now the report of the info day has been published. Ah, yeah, there is here actually. Maybe. Yeah, thank you, Cara. Okay, Cara already. Yes.
Could you share it with participants, this link?
Yes, of course. Okay, we will also introduce it as follow-up material. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Any other questions so far? You can raise your hand or you can write in the chat. If not,
Yes.
thank you. There is a question.
The question is how it's could be connected, this call, with funding from the member states, agencies, authorities, foundations, and so on. Is it some connection between EU4Health call and the local funding?
And sorry, I don't understand the last word.
Local funding, it means from the
Local
local
funding.
sources of the member states.
Yeah, so what I would suggest is to, for sure, to look to local funding that you have in your member states, and try to see if there are some synergies with the EU4Health call presented, where so you can maybe present some projects which are connected. But you know that the local funding are different. It depends on the specific member states and also if they are national or regional. So I would suggest to check the specific calls that you have at national or regional level, and see if you can create some synergies with the one that are published by EU4Health program.
Okay, but the question, does the participation of the ministries of regulating authorities of the countries will be beneficial in this application or not? What's your opinion?
But it depends on the eligibility criteria. I mean, you have to check always the eligibility criteria for each EU4Health call, and also for your national regional call. So it must be written if the ministry can participate or if it's a plus or whatever. So, but there isn't a general answer. I mean, it depends on the call, which kind of beneficiaries, applicants are admissible.
All right. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks.
Where are you from?
I'm Lithuania.
Ah, okay. I think you can also follow up. And I think they are also connected. I see colleagues from Lithuania connected. So for further information, definitely I think the National Focal Point Service in this case is indeed useful. But thank you very much for your question. Thank you, Sarah. Any other questions? I think we can proceed.
Good.
Yes, further. Yes.
Okay. So. Okay, so here what we are going to see is just some tools that you can use and when you design a proposal. For sure, there are some tools that maybe some of you already know or have used, but I have tried to put together these advices and methodologies that I use also, or it's common to use when a consortium is working together. First of all, The first suggestion is to look for the right call. So first of all, you have to start from your project idea and then look for the right call that is good to apply for. So not in general, we do not have to do the other process, so starting from the call, but starting from the idea because it's easier, and also it allows you to start from real needs that you are experimenting. For sure, you have to check for the right call on the Funding and Tender Opportunities portal and their webpage, and here you can find a link. Just some quick information about the procedure to present an EU4Health call. So when you register in the European Funding Tenders portal, you find the call that you want to apply for, and you can start the submission of your application. The coordinator starts the submission. When you start the submission, so you add the organization of the coordinator, and then the coordinator will add all the partners of the proposal, adding the PIC, using the PIC number. Each organization should have a PIC number to give to the coordinator, and automatically, when the coordinator put the PIC number into the portal, you will receive the notification, and you will be able to access to the administrative form part A, and also to see the upload of part B. So part A is the administrative form, is completely online. And which are the information that we should put here? We put the title and acronym of the project, the abstract, and keywords. We put contact details of partners, any declarations to be signed, also information about organization, and the overall budget. When you put information, you will be able to save everything, so the part A will be visible to all consortium, to the whole consortium. Once you have completed part A, the administrative part is done. What you have to do is to complete the project proposal. And to do that, you have to complete the part B. The part B is a document that you prepare. You can download the document, the template document, once you have started the application in the portal. And this document is basically a Word document that you have to complete with the information of your project. So you will describe the problem to solve, general and specific objectives, expected results and indicators, target groups, socioeconomic, political, environmental impact, methodologies that you apply, a detailed work plan with a description of activities, tasks, the roles of partners, deliverable milestones, risk analysis, the Gantt, and budget. So this is the real project, and then you will upload it. Here you can see some screenshots, what you will see in the portal. So you can edit part A administrative form and upload, download the template, as I said before, and then once you have completed the proposal, you can upload this part. Once you have finished, you can validate part A, you can validate correct errors to see if there are some missing parts that you haven't done, and submit the application. Please be aware of the deadlines. Very important to respect the deadline, and also the number of pages required, and so on. So all the parts that are required. Here you can find some tips a list, just a to-do list that you can consider when you prepare a proposal. So be aware of the deadline, the know-how regarding the application, what kind of information you have to include, the connection with the work plan, the connection with the policies that you have to do, who can apply. So what I said before about eligibility, check how much co-financing you can have from European Commission. Be aware of general financial principles, the rules. When you build up a budget, you should be aware of the financial principle, administrative part, how you will report financial costs if the project is approved. And a list, you can make a list of all project documents that you need. It's very important, for example, to download a model of the grant agreement, to check, for example, financial regulations if needed, and financial rules in general. Check very carefully the work program and also the FAQ. It's very important to check the FAQ section to see if there are some parts maybe that are missing. So here the list, as told before. And first of all, what I said at the beginning, that we should start from the project idea. Why? Because we always start from a need. So basically, why we do a project? Because a project should be developed to fulfill, to meet a need. And when we describe this need, it is important to report data, figures, and appropriate studies. This is the technical part, and it's very important to include all the references that you can put to support your idea and validate the need that you are describing. For example, with the scientific publications, all the studies that maybe you have already carried out, projects that you have already developed, and so on. Another part is, in fact, the projects already funded. So first of all, we have to check if a project idea, like the one that we would like to submit, have been already funded, because it's quite, it's very hard to have a similar project funded again. What we can do is check. So we have to go in the funding and tenders portal, and if we are checking for EU4Health, for example, but also if we are checking other projects like Erasmus Plus or other programs, we can check the projects already funded, the list, check with the keywords. And what we can do if we find a similar project is starting from the results of that project. So we can mention the project in our proposal and say that we will use the results of this previous project already funded to implement our new project and optimize maybe the results already achieved. This is a plus in general. It's well evaluated because it demonstrates that you have checked, you have already analyzed what have been funded, and also you reuse the results. So it's good. Then we have to build up the consortium. So first of all, we need to check who will be the coordinator, who will be the beneficiaries, and other partners that we want to add. The first thing that I would suggest is to understand very well what kind, so we will build with some tools that we will see later. First of all, the objectives of our proposal. To achieve these objectives, we will build the work packages and tasks that we have to develop. And when we have this list, we can see if we have all the right partners on board. You have to select the partners considering the expertise, the experience of these partners. So in general, do not choose partners because you always have worked with that, but because they can really improve the proposal. For sure, if you have, you can see that sometimes there are consortium carrying out a project that will participate in a new call for proposal, but because they will improve what they have already done, and maybe include the new partners in the board. So first of all, we will have a coordinator who is managing the consortium and who is responsible for the management and coordination of the project. Then we will have the other partners, beneficiaries of the project. We can have affiliated entities. So some applicants may participate with their affiliated entities linked to a beneficiary. So they will receive a share of the grant money and must comply with all the conditions of the call and be validated. We can have associated partner. So associated partner are applicants which can participate in the project without budget and realizing small activities. And then we have subcontractors, but subcontractors are not partners. Remember that they are evaluated. I mean, they are always evaluated by evaluators. So you should balance very well the inclusion of subcontractor because if they can develop if they develop a strategic task, they should be included as a partner always. You can have subcontractor to develop a part of activities for sure that you can't do. For sure, you can't subcontract core activities. Okay, for example, you can't subcontract management, the coordination of the project. And if subcontracts exceed the 30% of total eligible costs, you must justify them in the application. When we build up the consortium, you have also to consider the strategic balance of regions and countries that you want to include. So if you are addressing European topics, and you should consider an appropriate balance of participating countries. So consider the participation of Northern Europe, Central Europe, Southern Europe, East Europe, and so on. And try to have a representative for each area. And here we will see some tools that you can use to design a project idea. So as said, we are starting always with the creative phase, so the idea, and it's important to involve all partners in this phase. So it's not just that the coordinator has to think to everything, okay? Partners are cooperating with you, and it's important to involve partners, stakeholders, because you will have a very good project with good inputs, because you will have different points of view, different needs, and you can include them in the proposal. So how can you do that? First of all, you can use the brainstorming methodology that for sure you know. So it's a method that aims to develop creative solutions. Put together a group of people, no more than 15, and the goal is to produce new ideas without judgment. So it's a very easy phase where all people can really try to say their ideas, what they want to develop, what are their needs, and so on. What is suggested is to have a facilitator during the brainstorming to guide and manage the group. The facilitator will propose an initial scenario in a clear, simple way, remind participants to suspend judgment, not be afraid of ideas, and when the ideas came up, write it down on a whiteboard or similar. And then after that, the participants can explore and elaborate ideas also expressed by others. You can considering that, so this brainstorming methodology as the other that we will see are for sure very good if you can do on site, because you can have interaction, but we understand that in general, we do not have budget for this kind of activities for preparation project, okay, project preparation. Now you have, you know that we have a lot of digital tools that allow us to do this kind of brainstorming methodology, like using, for example, web call, organizing web workshop, for example, and using tools like Mural or Miro, where you can have a dashboard where people can put their ideas and so on. So it's a methodology that is used also during the project implementation, but you can use also in the project preparation. Then for sure you can share questionnaire to detect the needs or demands of certain groups, target groups or stakeholders. You can mention in the proposal that you have carried out this kind of questionnaires and also the results. It's a good, I mean, it's high evaluated if you do this kind of research, because it really demonstrates that you are going and you have involved the stakeholders and target groups before the project preparation. So you are really expressing their needs. If you want to engage a larger geographical group, you can use online questionnaires like a Google Form, SurveyMonkey, and so on. If you have time, in general, it's good. The point is always that we are rushing when we prepare a project proposal, but I would suggest to start on time. Like it would be great to have like 4 months, 6 months ahead. And so you can do this kind, for example, questionnaires to collect the real needs, because they really makes the difference for evaluators. You can also build up a focus group, like a small group of people to discuss specific topics. In this focus group, you can invite a different kind of stakeholders and targets that then you will mention in the project. And here also a facilitator is suggested to guide the group. When you do this kind of, for example, focus groups, also after the brainstorming, if you have a group of people, you can also use a tool like a SWOT analysis you can do also it by yourself, or the coordinator can create this SWOT analysis tool and ask all the partners to include the information in like an online tool. This SWOT analysis is very good to understand the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of the project idea in this case. Then another tool that is very good to use if you have time is the problem tree. So it's a methodology that is used, is very popular in European design. And it helps to identify the problems and a cause-effect diagram. So what you do is that also you can do it online with the Miro, for example, or Mural. What you identify is the main problem that you want to target. And after that, you have to think to related problems and think if the related problems is a cause or an effect. If it's a cause, you put the problem on the top. It's is in sorry, the effect on the top. If it's a cause, below. So you can like design a tree as the one that you see, and for example, understand the specific causes and effects. That is very important because when you build the problem tree, you need to analyze very well the need that you have. So you produce very detailed causes and effects. And then what you do is to transform the problem tree in a problem, in a goal tree, in the objective tree. Which is this one. So we change the problems to objectives, to goals. And what we do is to transform and have our objectives. Why it's important? Because when we design the objectives, we will have the main goals of our project idea. And maybe it seems easy, but I can tell that it's not so easy, because sometimes what we do is to take the topic and the call and just copy the objectives that the call is suggesting, but it's not what we have to do, okay? Our project proposal should have specific target objectives, one main objective, specific objectives, and then we have to adjust them to the objectives required by the call. So this is another tool that you can experiment and you can use. Once the tree is completed, a single focal problem is identified. And the added value of this tree is that we don't have problems expressed in a generic way, but we have a very, this exercise is done to have very focused problems with specific causes. And we also have possible goals and solutions to overpass these problems. Once we have defined the project objectives, I would suggest to create a project matrix. I always do that when I prepare a project proposal. And what I do is to prepare a project matrix in Excel where I put the general goal of the call, specific goals of the call, expected outcomes, what is requested, for example, for the impact section and so on. This is what do I put this, for example, in a line. And in another line, I put my project general goal, my project specific goals, my project outcomes, and so on, and activities to achieve the goals. So I can compare if I am answering all the things that are required by the call, And if I need, for example, to include some more objectives, some more activities, how I can optimize, I would suggest to create this matrix because it's like a guideline that you can have for the project preparation. Because if you start just writing, maybe you can miss. If you have this matrix and you have to identify immediately the main project goal, the specific project objectives, and how you will achieve the project objectives. And to achieve these project objectives, you have to develop work packages and activities. So everything will be connected and very clear, and then you can start writing according to this matrix. When you design the objectives, you have always to consider the SMART methodology, which is recommended for strategic definition of specific goals. So the most important part of the methodologies of objectives is to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. What happens is that objectives are always quite general. So you can't be general. You have to be very, very specific, very concrete objectives. You have to put KPIs. We will see also later in the tips for evaluation. Objectives should be very achievable, relevant, and you have to achieve them in a specific time frame. This is an example of the matrix I called before matrix. What we do is the logical framework is another tool. So the logical framework is a matrix that you fill where you put the general objectives, specific objectives, targets, results, activities. You have to, when you complete this chart, you are you have to complete with the logic of intervention, put the indicators, how you verify the indicators, and possible external conditions, so the risks that you can find. When you complete this chart, you will have then all the information that are asked in the proposal. So then it will be quite simple, not simple, but you will have like a guideline to use. And then for sure you can explain all the objectives, the risks, indicators, and so on. But I would suggest to use this kind of methodology because it's very useful. So here you can you will find the steps, so the description. And then what you have to do is to prepare, so you have defined the objectives, you have defined the work packages, activities, and then you have to define the Gantt, the time schedule. So list the activities, you have to list the work package name, tasks, names. Then I would suggest to create also a column and indicate the partners who is going to coordinate task leader, work package leader, and the other partners who are going to contribute and support the work packages and tasks. And then you have for sure to define the time that is required to develop specific tasks and work package. So you will develop a Gantt chart, and you will be able to see if all the activities are finishing in the right time to allow also the starting of the other activities. You can also in the EU4Health, you don't have to include it, but it's useful to have like a PERT chart. So when you create work packages, it's useful for you to have a clear vision of the relationship between work packages. You have to be very aware when a work package is starting, when it's ending, and if the outputs of one work package is needed, for example, for the starting of another work package, and so on. So the interrelation between activities. When you have defined all that part, you can proceed with the budget. So the right steps are defining objectives, defining activities, defining who is doing what, and then you can define the budget because you know the partners, which partners are involved in which activities, how long these activities will last. So you can estimate, for example, the person months required to develop these activities. For sure, other costs that you can have, like travel, services, and so on. It's important when you set up the budget to check the economic feasibility and sustainability of the project and give the detailed specification of the costs. The point is that if you build a budget like that, it's very related with what you are doing, and you don't have like much surprises because you are like feeling you are developing a budget following the activities that you have to do. When you design the budget, you have also to consider some aspects like the balanced project budget. So for sure, you have to ensure a balanced budget and sufficient additional resources. The co-funding rule, so you know that you can have from 60 and 80% with EU4Health, so you have to be sure to have the other part covered, your own co-financing. No profit rule, the contract cannot produce profit for the beneficiary. No retroactivity rule, only costs after the project start date can be accepted. Non-cumulative rule, a beneficiary can sign only one contract for the same project, and no double funding. So you can't receive other European funding for the same activities that you are already doing and receiving funding with another project. Some tips. So remember that the project coordination is never alone. You have the partners that are cooperating with you also in the project preparation. So it's important to understand which kind of partners you have, because if a partner is not working with you in the project preparation, probably it will not work with you during the project development. So it's important to understand and to create also a good consortium at the beginning. Read carefully all provided and existing documentations, including facts. The coordinator should be the most qualified partner. So do not choose it by chance. I mean, it should be a very the partner should be very experienced and should be very all the skills required. Comply with the directions on the template. The proposal must be created to solve the stated problems and needs expressed. Writing in the simple way. Also, it's good that you give the project to an external person to read it before the submission, so you can see if it's really it's easy to read, it's understandable. Provide a logical, correct summary. And yes, the last one that I already tell you about someone who was not involved with to read the project. Okay, so this part is finished.
Thank you very much, Sara. Very comprehensive. Thank you
Thank
for the practical presentation of these tools that they can be used throughout the drafting proposal phase. And also thank you for the tips and the examples. I don't know if you would like now to go through the questions, Sara?
Yes,
Okay.
because then we go to evaluation tips. It's better.
Thanks, as Tamara is indicating in the chat, the link for the survey. So as we 74. Okay, so thank you for this. I would kindly ask you also to support the evaluation of the webinar and in general the evaluation of our activities. So thank you very much. It will take only a few minutes. Then with regard to the questions, so there was a specific question with regard to the third party in-kind contribution participation, but Cristina replied to this. So thank you very much, Cristina Medina from FPS. Then there is a question from the National Focal Point from Portugal. The applicants could subcontract tasks such as statistical analysis, communication, web page design, event organization. It is possible to subcontract this kind of activities?
Yes, I mean, it's possible. Sometimes you can also include in the services like other direct costs. It's not required to have just, for example, to do the web page. When you develop the budget, yes, for sure you can put subcontractors. It's not forbidden, but be aware and be careful. And be careful also if you can include them like in other costs, like other services, because maybe it's possible. So avoiding subcontracting that part.
Oh, this is very right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sara. For sure, a subcontractor cannot be, let's say, responsible for a work package, a task, or a deliverable, right? Okay. And then another one, and then I see Carla Baldassare. I will give you the floor also. It is possible to explain the different roles within a consortium, so the coordinator, the beneficiaries, and affiliated entities.
Yeah.
For sure, we understood that the coordinator is the most experienced partner. What about the beneficiaries and affiliated entities?
So coordinator is a beneficiary too, okay? Is the experienced partner who is managing all the consortium. Beneficiaries are the partners who are taking part in the project, who are developing activities, so the tasks, work packages, and so on, and achieving the project objective. Affiliated entities are entities, organizations that are related with the other partners. So they participate in the project, but they are connected with another beneficiary. They do small activities in general, small budget, because they are part of a bigger organization, which, I mean, they are related with another partner already part in the consortium. Is it clear? There are also, okay, subcontractors, I think that you have understood. Associated partners, for example, I can say, like you want to involve, for example, a relevant stakeholder or another partner, you don't have budget, but for example, sometimes associated partners are involved with a small role because they have to develop some kind of activities, but they don't have budget. For example, they can be involved if they are very good in a specific part of dissemination. They can be included in the consortium. So they will deliver, they will disseminate the project results, they will participate in the project, but without receiving funding. That's the differences. The difference.
Great. Thank you very much, Sara. And apologies, there was, yeah, so also Ines is saying thank you. Apologies, there was a question. Are third parties in-kind contribution against a payment contemplated in EU4Health? Is it possible?
Sorry, because there was another question that was so actually it was not a response. It was a question. Are third party? because I have to go to the first question. Sorry. Wait.
Yeah, it's
Yes, well, this is Cristina Medina.
Yeah.
I better use the microphone.
Yeah.
Okay, we were contemplating in a joint action. I know this is a webinar that it deals with the call for action, but I was wondering if in a joint action, it is possible for an entity that is not carrying out tasks in the action, is just doing a managing role to act as third parties in kind contribution against payment.
You should, yeah, I mean, in general, third parties are allowed, but I would suggest to go to the specific call and check the requirements. It must be written if because it must be in general they send, maybe they say, okay, see this part of the work program and so on, so you can check if it's admissible or not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sara. And then there is Carla Baldassare. Please, you have the floor.
I think I received already my clarification through the answer, so thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much,
Amanda?
colleagues. Yeah, please, Amanda.
No, you're muted.
Sorry, wasn't showing. Hi, Sarah, thanks very much for your presentation. I just have more of a question about the actual template and what needs to be included in the template and at what stages. So for an example, the project team, say, does every single person that is doing any task within the project have to be included in that? And regarding this, the titles of the personnel types, they're very restricted to certain types. Do they all have to fall under that category because that's what's permitted in the Excel file?
But you mean, I understood. So when you have the chart to complete the template B, that you have to put, I mean, put the people who are working the project, also underline their role with the activities that they are going to do. So it's important because they are going to check, I mean, what is happening is they are going to check if the tasks that you say will be developed by your organization, you have people who can develop them and have the right expertise.
Okay.
I am not sure if I understood if you are referring to the part A when you complete.
No, it's part B. It's part B. It's the project team, staff and experts. So it's just, it talks about lists of staff included in the project budget. So by function or profile, but it does, like the titles of the roles are only project manager, senior expert, junior expert, trainers, teachers.
Yes, because they put, I know. They put like standard
roles, and there's no deviation from those roles, is there? No. Okay.
No.
And just in terms of experts then, so if you're including an expert, can they not be funded at all? Or, so it says experts if applicable. Explain if national or international experts will be nominated by national authorities to support the project implementation. And they ask for CVs on that. Do they can't be paid? I'm just thinking if you have a project with 3 countries and you have people assigned tasks, but then you have an expert that will perhaps consult on it. Do you
yes, if it's a consultant, it's an external services.
It's an external service, but maybe it's it's not.
Yes, then it depends. So wait. Okay. When you have, when you have external experts, it depends if the type of contract that you have with them. So I would suggest to go to the grant agreement. Okay.
Yeah.
Check very well, because all the conditions are explained. So it depends on how your organization is going to make the contract, because it depends. So I would check the grant agreement first. And if you are not sure, I would contact maybe I would ask to ADEA, for example, or some. If you have adapted, because because sometimes, you know, there are some aspects that are not standard. You have to analyze the organization rules, the contracts, so the national law. So.
Okay. No, that's great. I just have one more question, and it's about risk management. And I guess it just would be good to get examples of, you know, just to advise people on, you know, just a starting point. Like, say, do you always include a risk management around staffing and recruitment? Like, is that a standard, or is that not expected to be included?
You have to include also risk management, because they are related with the work package. What I, for example, in some of projects I have included or I have seen is risk managements are also related with the management of the partners. For example, you can have a problem with them. You can write that maybe a partner doesn't want to continue with the project. What do you expect to do? Also, if you don't find, or if the partners, for example, a partner doesn't comply with the time frame, the development, so you have to say the strategy that you have to include. I would say that is always and more related with innovation management. Is highly appreciated, that part. So this part, innovation management. Okay. So the way that you manage a project in an innovative way, also considering the parts of coordinating international partners and so on. So, but for sure you have to include and when you include the risks of the technical work packages, be very precise. I mean, you don't have to be generic, like put the real risks that you can face and and mitigation measures. So which kind of strategy you will implement.
Okay. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, colleagues? Or we can go ahead.
Okay. So now I will share some evaluation tips. Okay. So the evaluation workflow, sorry. So you will add the screening with the check completeness allocation to evaluators, the financial organizational analysis, so a first check of criteria. Then evaluators will look for the compliance, award the criteria. They will achieve a consensus with the meeting. And you will have the evaluation committee. So based on ranking, they will select the proposals and the award decision. So in general, proposals should follow the standard submission and evaluation procedure. We have this evaluation committee, and they will follow specific criteria that we will see to evaluate your proposal. First, we have the admissibility eligibility check. So, for example, if you have 2 partners and the required amount is 3, you are not eligible. Or if they require that in the consortium you must have 1 NGO and you don't have the NGO. So these kind of proposals are not evaluating the content, okay? You are automatically out. Then there is the individual evaluation. So each evaluator will take the proposal, evaluate it, and then report in the group of evaluators their analysis, and they have to achieve a common position for each proposal evaluated. They have a panel review, so they have to reach an agreement on the scores and comments, and then they will produce these evaluation comments that you will receive. When this is done, you will have the final ranking list with the score of each proposal and the comments of evaluators. So the admissibility check, be aware of the number of pages. It's very important that you respect the required number of pages. If you put a project longer, the pages, you will be able to upload it, but for example, if the target is 70 pages and you upload a project of 80, the last 10 pages will be not readable for the evaluator. The evaluation criteria, they will evaluate the content of your proposal considering the relevance, so clarity and coherence of the project goals and planning, the team's priorities, goals of the call, contribution to the European strategic and legislative context, European dimension, impact interest for a number of countries. And here you can have 30 points. So it's very important when you write the proposal that for sure you look for the goals and the objectives of the call, but you have to study all the work program, all of EU4Health. You have to look for the policies connected the legislative context and include this part. About the quality, you have an evaluation about project design and implementation. So technical quality, logical links between problems, needs, and proposed solutions, the identified problems and needs, the logical framework, what I have explained before. The methodology, you have to explain very well which kind of methodology you want to follow. And project feasibility with the time frame that you are proposing, and the budget cost effectiveness. Here also you have 30 points. Then you will be assessed for the project team and modes of cooperation, other 30 points, and the impact, ambition and expected long-term impact of outcomes and target groups. The dissemination strategy, the impact, sustainability, outcomes after the end of the project, 10 points. And here you have the award criteria. So minimum pass for relevance 21, maximum 30, quality, project design 21, maximum 30, quality, project team and cooperation, minimum 21, maximum 30, and impact 7, maximum 10. The total 100 is the maximum score. Here there are some tips about to consider. This is taken from the Horizon Europe criteria, but I think really there are some tips that is very useful also for EU4Health. For sure, clarity and pertinence of the project's objectives, the soundness of the proposed methodology, the gender dimension, the pathways should to achieve outcomes and impact should be credible. The sustainability to maximize the impact, quality and effectiveness of work plan, assessment of risks, effort, capacity and role of each participant, and extent to the consortium. So what we should ask when we prepare a project. Does the consortium have the necessary expertise to achieve the project goals, or are there gaps? It's important when you have the list of tasks to do, to have all these expertise covered. If you don't have one covered, you have to find another partner or look. First of all, you can ask to the partners already involved if they can for sure manage that. If not, you have to find a solution. So find another partner. The partner form, all partners ask immediately if they have a PIC. If they don't have, they have to register in the European Funding Tenders portal. If they have the right facilities, equipment to do that. The current involvement in other relevant activities, their role, expertise, publications, and so on. Another criteria is to assess how well the work plan supports partners to work together, and if the consortium proposes a way to manage a conflict between partners. So this is what related with what I said before about the risks and mitigation measures. It's important to have a strategy, a plan to manage the possible conflicts among partners, and so to ensure that you will develop and finish the project. So to have a management plan and the risk assessment. When you define the target, the end users, you have to be very specific. Also, when you describe the objectives, and so the related target users, but also when you describe the communication dissemination activities, because they can be different, and you should differentiate them considering the different targets. Be specific, describe them very well. When you put the stakeholders, it's very important to mention the stakeholders' involvement. So when you put stakeholders, you have to name them whenever possible. So don't be generic. If you want to include the technology developers, health system, local public authorities, mention some names, organization names. Maybe you are already working with, ask to all partners to name them. So you can be very specific and say, don't say like, I will involve stakeholders. I will involve 30 stakeholders. By the end of the project, I will involve 100 stakeholders in 5 countries. So you have to be very specific with the indicators. And finally, the KPIs. So always when you put identify objectives, targets, everything, try to be specific and to put KPIs because when you have to put KPIs, you are obliged to put how to measure objectives. So, for example, if you will have an improvement of the policy on mental health, you can put, I will develop one guideline kit for, so be very specific. Also with the targets that you can achieve, how many people, how many citizens you are addressing, how many patients, and so on. So here, like a brief resume. So define the objectives of the project, define target values and scope, stakeholders, identify institutions interested in the results of the project, involved directly in the project, identify the technologies, the scope of analysis, and select a KPI, list the technical parameters, identify relevant indicators, and select indicators that best measure the progress of the objectives. For more information, you can have a look to this link of the EU4Health program. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Sara. Mind-blowing presentation, very much appreciated. And I don't know if there are any other questions. I think there was another question, yeah, from Ines. If it is possible to share the presentation with potential applicants. Of course, Ines, this is part of our training and it is available on the website. But besides this, let's say it is important for us to increase and reinforce the role of the national focal points. So definitely, if this supports the implementation of the program, if this supports the quality of the presentation of the proposals, yes, you can share the presentation. And also there will be the recording available. So thank you very much, and we very much appreciate your participation. Any other questions? Otherwise, we are very much on timing. You can also address later questions if that is the case. You can write to our joint action email of the coordination team, and we will support you. Thank you again, and I wish you a very nice day. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you again.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Non mi la camicia, non mi la camicia.